Hi, my name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Pilates, Rehab, Relax. So don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all of my latest Pilates routines, physio rehab exercises and relaxation sessions. So today I'm going to guide you through some gentle exercises that you can do for your shoulder. These are aimed at people that might have a painful shoulder, a shoulder that you might have just had an injury to, that you're just starting to try and get some movement back there. I would always say to go on the guidance of what your doctor or your physiotherapist has told you in terms of what you can and can't do. I'm going to go through a whole series of exercises and I'll describe each of them so you know which movements you're doing, and I'll also aim to do about 10 of each of them. You might only just do a few of some of them, and some of them you might have been told not to do. So again, you work on the guidance you've been given, but hopefully this will give some clarity about how to go about doing those exercises. And work at your level. I don't mind the odd twinge, but they shouldn't be really painful when you're doing them, and if it is, it might be you're just pushing a little bit too hard with them. So before you do any exercise, you might begin by just doing a few gentle movements of your neck. Make sure that you're not stiff around your neck at all, because again, we want to make sure we've got some flexibility there. You know, even in your upper back you can get a little bit stiff there, so sometimes just doing some gentle movements to begin with can be a really useful thing for a warm-up there. So again, you might even do some gentle neck stretches if you've been told to do those as well. So the first exercise I want you to do for me is actually laying the cornerstone for all of the other exercises. Our shoulder blade, this big bony bit here, is called our scapula. And the first exercise we're going to do is called scapular setting. So what I want you to do for me with all of these exercises, you know, sometimes our posture's not great. Sometimes if we work over a computer all day long, we might be a little bit round-shouldered. That can actually pinch on some of the tendons, and when we're doing these movements we want to lay a really good strong foundation there for making sure that movement's a good movement that we're doing. So we're going to start off with the scapular setting by trying to bring the shoulders just gently back and down. So when I do all my Pilates routines, I often talk about wide shoulders and that long neck position, so that lengthening of the spine, and it's the same with scapular setting. So what we're looking for here is that the muscle on top of the shoulder should be nice and soft, and the muscle we're actually using is the one underneath the shoulder blade there. So it's a little bit, when we set our shoulder blade, it's a little bit like we're trying to put the shoulder blade here into the back pocket of our trousers there. So what I would definitely say with this exercise, it's a subtle movement and you get used to it when you've done it for a little bit, but soft up here, the muscle should be working down here. If you find that you're on a military parade, so if I poke my chest out, that's not good posture there. When I do that, I'm really squeezing between my shoulder blades, working those rhomboid muscles a bit too much. So it's a bit more subtle than that with shoulder posture, with good scapular setting, and it's something a bit more like that we're aiming for. So generally speaking though, if you've got a nice wide collarbones and that long neck, if you can feel it soft up here and working around here, then that's probably on the right track there. So with that scapular setting, we're going to try and maintain that through all of the other exercises we do, because we know that will be keeping our shoulder in a good position. The second exercise I'm going to go through is another really gentle one, and it's called pendular swinging. So a bit like a grandfather clock with a pendulum, we're going to do the same thing with our arm. So it might be that you're struggling to get your arm up in front of you, but if we counterbalance the movement by bending down in front of us, so I'm going to keep my back nice and straight with this exercise. I'm going to keep my shoulder set in a good position, and if I let the shoulder hang down there, the arm hang down heavy, and then what I can do, like a pendulum, a grandfather clock, I can just let that swing back and forwards there, and you'll find your own pace there. You might only be doing a small movement, you might do quite a big one, but again, you could either count to 10 movements, you might just do it for a minute or so, but just gently trying to restore some movement there with the shoulder. There you go. And another way you could do this, rather than just going straight forwards and backwards, we could even do a circular movement there. So again, you follow the guidance you've been given, but it's just a nice, gentle way of starting to restore movement with our shoulder there. That's fine. So there you go, pendular exercises. So again, when we're trying to get this movement up in front of us, another way we can do that is assisting with the other arm. So I'm going to use a bit of equipment here. You might have spotted I've got an umbrella. You might use a walking stick, you might use a broom handle. Just make sure whatever you're using that you don't demolish the furniture around you there. So what I'm going to do, because I've got a nice crook in the end of my umbrella there, I'm going to use that to hold onto with my hand. So assuming with the exercises that this is my bad arm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to support the umbrella with the other hand as well. So let's set that shoulder in a good position like we have done. I've got a hold of the umbrella with both hands here. So this one is hitching along for the ride, and this one here is going to be doing all of the work. So here we go, keeping the shoulder in a good position, long neck, wide shoulder blades, and I'm going to bring my arm up in front of you. And you know, you work to your ability. It might be you get so far and it just says ain't going any further, but you know, work to your own ability. It might be you can go up quite far and then slowly coming back down again. So I'll do a couple of them facing sideways onto you, and then I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm doing facing towards the camera. So up we go, and then back down again. And we're just gently trying to restore the movement there. So for some of you at home, it might be literally, you just go up to here, hold for a few seconds, and then coming back down again. So you work to your level of ability. And say for some people, you might get up to about 90 degrees there. And it might be that as you do these, you just find the movement starts to loosen up a bit. So do try and relax as you're doing them. It might well be you've taken some pain relief before you've even done the exercises, so they're comfortable. And you work with what's right for you. I don't mind the odd twinge, but if they're really sore when you're doing them, you might be pushing a bit too hard. So again, if I just do this facing towards the camera, just so you've got a bit of clarity there, I go up and down. And say with all of them, the arm, my arm with the watch on, that's the one that's doing all of the work here, and the other arm is just hitching along for the ride there. So effectively, even though it hurts to do this on its own, by giving it that assistance there, you're facilitating the movement. So that's our third exercise, which is called shoulder flexion. So our shoulder also does that movement of coming out to the side, and we call that abduction. So again, we can use our umbrella again to facilitate that. So again, with my palm facing forwards, I'm going to grab a hold of the handle of my umbrella there. This one's not going to be doing a lot of the work. This is the guy that's going to do the work here. I'm going to keep my shoulder in a good position, and what I'm going to do is pushing with the other hand, is bring that arm up and out to the side, and then slowly back down again. And as we go, you know, if it gets sore, the temptation is to hitch up with the shoulder here. So you make sure you keep that shoulder in a good position as you go up there. And I would actually say I'd rather you didn't go as far, but kept the shoulder set in that good scapular position than hoiking it up as high as you can and kind of going up here. You know, it's very easy to try and help and compensate with other bits of your body, and we're just trying to really gently try and work the shoulder, but keep a good normal pattern of movement there. So again, you might just do a few of them, you might build up to 5, you might be doing 10 of them in a row there, but that's the technique that I'm after, bringing that arm up and out to the side, keeping that shoulder in that good position throughout. There you go. So that was shoulder abduction. Another movement our shoulder does is this outward rotation, which is sometimes called external rotation. If we do this movement here, I'm still moving outward with the arm, but can you see that my elbow remains tucked into my side there? So if you imagine that you had a piece of tissue paper or a hanky or something there, my elbow should remain tucked into the side throughout that movement there. I'm going to grab a hold of the handle of my umbrella again. I'm going to keep my elbow tucked into the side there, and what I'm going to do is I'm pushing out to the side there. So again, I said at the start how you just really follow the guidance your doctor or physio is giving you. There's certain things, like certain shoulder operations, where you just wouldn't rush to do this outward rotation movement. So you must follow the guidance of what you've been told by your doctor or physiotherapist. But if you're just gently trying to get the movement back, then it's fine to do this. So again, I keep my shoulder set in that good position, and I do that outward rotation, giving that extra bit of movement there. And again, the work is coming from my good arm, and the other one's just holding onto that handle. And you might be able to join in a little bit, you might be able to use those muscles a little bit, but this is about giving it that little helping hand while it's trying to mend itself, while it's trying to get over having either an injury, or you might just have a sore shoulder that just needs to get moving gently. That's good. So there's one last exercise we're going to do with our umbrella, and that's bringing our arm up behind us. So if we were trying to get our hand into a coat, very often you need to bring that arm out behind you, and again, we can facilitate that again. So I'm going to hold on to my umbrella behind me this time. I'm going to hold on to it with both hands, and the movement I'm going to do now is bringing that arm out and away from me. Again, facilitating with the good arm, and then back in again. So there we go, back behind us, and then relax again. Not a massive amount of movement there, but it's still one that's worth having a little go with. So again, you can build up and do a few of them. You might, just do a couple of these. You might build up to doing 10 in a row. I really don't mind. That's great. So that's the last one we'll need for our umbrella. There's one last movement I want you to do for me. So we did that movement a moment ago with the umbrella, which we called external rotation. Actually, there's also another inward rotation, and a really good example of that is when we, try and tuck our shirt behind us. So what we're going to do with this one, I'm going to take the back of my hand and try and slide it in and back towards my midline. And if you find that's easy, you can even use the other hand to give a helping hand there. So what I'm trying to do is bring the arm up behind us and then relax again. So sometimes people do this in the shower. You might even pop a bit of soap onto the back of your hand and then just give that arm that little bit of facilitation up and behind you. There you go. So again, up and behind you. So for some of you, it might be to begin with, you're literally just getting your back of your hand to your bottom cheek there, and that's fine. Whatever you can do to begin with, you work on it and you build on it. But as that gets easier, it might be you then work to getting it up towards your belt line, and then the progression would be to give that little bit of a helping hand on there as well. So you work to your level of ability there. So that was some gentle movements to just start getting your shoulder moving. What we can then do is build upon that, and that's where I've recorded videos like these static holds for our shoulder that are called isometrics, and the other movements I've recorded with bits of rubber band are actually strengthening exercises with what we call TheraBands. It's a big elastic band that we sometimes use to help with strengthening. But to begin with our shoulder, we'd always start by just trying to gently restore that range of movement, and doing this in standing is one way of going about that. I'll also aim to record these same exercises in laying, and it might be you have a go at those as an alternative if you struggle with them in standing. So good luck with those. I hope it helps, and thanks for watching.